Зараз дійсно такий момент, коли вирішується, чи пануватиме в світі груба сила.
When you pay for gas and oil from Russia, it returns as the striking element or a bullet.
This is not just a matter of Ukraine's survival. This is putting our whole international order into question.
We have the institutions, but we've lost the feeling of global solidarity. If you don't have that, then you cannot even make these institutions work.
Globalization has served the world well, except that we made a big error to pretend that it has worked equally well for everybody everywhere.
What is at stake with taxation? It's not bureaucracy, it's not red tape. It's giving our fellow citizens the feeling that globalization can be fair.
The protection of values is more important than profit.
There's $430 trillion worth of wealth on planet Earth today. There should not be a single child on this planet that goes to bed hungry, much less starve to death.
Frontline communities are not waiting for the impacts of climate change to hit in the future. It's happening right now.
All countries in the world, regardless of their level of income at this point, recognize the importance of addressing climate change.
We stand on a precipice. No government has the money to be able to solve this problem by itself. We need you. We need the private sector all around the world to step up.
You're witnessing an ecopreneur revolution. This is going to be an opportunity because there's so much capital that can be deployed on this incredible new sector.
None of us are coming out of this pandemic assuming we're going to go back to 2019. We have to find a new way going forward.
Industries and business models are being continuously disrupted. What it really requires is a very, very steady pace of cross-skilling, reskilling, upskilling.
Tech really enables all of us to reskill at speed. And what used to be 10, 15 years is now just 5 years.
In an organization whose purpose is to deliver on the promise of technology and human ingenuity, you really have to build inclusion into your talent practices every single day.
How can you belong in a company or a community if you don't see people like yourself, however you define them?
Inclusive design is for everyone, and it needs everyone's voices at the beginning of the process.
In the face of all these priorities, can global health maintain the visibility that it deserves?
We have a responsibility to protect our populations. We have these huge health inequity issues.
Pfizer will provide all its patented medicines and vaccines on a non-for-profit basis to 1.2 billion people living in 45 lower-income countries.
We have the means to improve the states of the world. We need collaborative efforts.
These crises injected a sense of renewal, a sense of community, a sense of a new kind of world that we want to create.
Das macht die 20er Jahre zu Jahren der Veränderung, der Erneuerung und des Umbaus.
And there are enough leaders in Davos this week. We need their engagement, their ingenuity, their creativity. That is what the world needs at a time like this.
This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Shalom Akim, Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yashai, Bashem Rakodash, which is in Hebrew, all praises the Most High God in the name of the Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharala, who today we're known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the video you just watched and discuss just some of the topics that were discussed and portrayed in that video, right? Now, the reason I read that scripture about Satan coming as an angel of light is because the video we just finished watching from the World Economic Forum, which again, it's a private organization. I think they are a non-profit organization, but either way, if you understand Esau's economic system, you understand that's a way for Esau to basically make free money. Okay, those 501c3 non-profit organizations make a lot, or have a potential of making a lot of money, right? Especially when the people who run the organization pay themselves a salary. Now, that being said, right, what were some of the things spoken about in that video, right? Things that the world is currently facing, problems the world is facing, right? Economic problem, healthcare issues, war, and power, right? Energy needs, right? Inclusivity, right? Of different minorities, all stuff. But, it sounds all well and good, and it sounds very nice, and you want to be part of it. But you have to understand who is behind this, right? Who is behind the World Economic Forum? Well, the man who actually created this World Economic Forum is a man by the name of Klaus Schwab, right? Now, Klaus Schwab is an Edomite, right? He is what the Bible refers to as an Edomite, right? We will refer to these Edomites today as Caucasian or a so-called white man. But again, the Bible identifies this man and all his entire race, regardless of what continent they dwell in, as Edomites. Okay, now if you're unsure, let's go ahead and read what Edomites, part of the Bible is. This is from the Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary. It says, Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as the scene of great future judgment. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from God. Right? So there you go. So that is who the Edomites are in regards to the Bible, right? Or as far as at least what's going to happen to them. It doesn't really go into, so much as far as, who they are and, where they come from and what they're going to do. But let me go ahead and explain a little bit about these Edomites, right? These are the descendants from Israel, or Jacob's twin brother Esau. Okay, these are the people who at one time had not only the birthright to salvation, but also had the promise, right? The blessing for salvation, right? But their forefather Esau despised both of those and sold them off, right? Sold his birthright, and ultimately the Lord took away his blessing. Now his children, these Edomites, they are seeking to regain that blessing from us Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, right? Now Klaus Schwab has, this is a perfect quote. Let's go and read it. He says in this quote, "The fact that nearly 2,500 leaders came together in person demonstrates the need for a trusted, informal, and action-oriented global platform to confront the issues in a crisis-driven world." Right? So here's the solution, but what is the problem? What is the problem which we are facing? Well, like I said, we're facing economic issues, world war, food shortages, food crisis, health crisis, so-called population crisis, right? Really, it's more of a housing crisis, and you got an environmental crisis. And where are all these crises stemming from? Why is all this happening? Well, these Edomites here, these devils, would like you to believe that this is all stemming from something known as global warming or climate change, right? Now, the thing is that yes, the climate is changing, but it doesn't really have anything to do with humanity. More so, it has to do with the planet and its current position in space and where it's going, and tons of different aspects, right? The amount of methane that is being released into the atmosphere by just natural events. Humans do make a small impact, but nothing to the point where if we were to change our entire way that we run things, that we would actually impact it. No, the earth is going to continue to change because, again, we are in an ebb and flow cycle of climate change, right? This is, when you look at the records, you look at the ice, the ice readings, like the ice samples of climate, it basically goes up and down, right? And these devils are simply using this natural phenomena to, be an impetus for why they need to take action now, right? But here's the truth. The reason why these devils are taking action now is because they do know the scriptures, right? They understand what the Bible really talks about. They understand that they are the nation of Edom, the nation which was prophesied to be the last ruling nation before the second coming of the Messiah, who would have the world upside down morally and this in a destroyed state before the second coming, right? Now, and also too, that it was prophesied that these people, not only would they attempt to fight against the Lord when he returns, right? When it says Satan and his angels fought against Michael and his angels, that is talking about these Edomites, right? And their attempt at trying to stave off the second coming of the Messiah. Now, it also tells you that they will seek to kill off all the Israelites before the second coming of the Messiah, meaning that through these people's policies and their agendas, their goal is to destroy the Negro, Latino, and Native American, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, from off the face of the world. Okay, they have stated in their Georgia Guidestones and throughout, different biographies that these people write, that they want to limit the world's population to 500 million, right? And just to give you an idea, right now the world's population is close to 8 billion people, which means 7.5 billion people need to die to fulfill these people's goals. Why is that such a big goal? Because these people are the physical manifestation of the devil, of Satan, here upon the earth. This is Daniel's 8:23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences, right? Understanding what the scriptures say, right? Shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people, right? And shall destroy the mighty and the holy people, right? And here's the point, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut up thou vision, for it shall be for many days. So when the prophet Daniel received this vision of the end time and the ruling power, how the Edomites, because again, this isn't just talking about one particular person, right? This is not talking about an antichrist. This ultimately is talking about the Edomites and how they will ultimately, rise to the crescendo, the paramount of their empire in the latter days, right? When it says in the latter times when the transgressors are come to full, right? So right now we're living in pretty much the fullness of Esau's empire, man. This is the best it's ever going to get. With the technology, the wealth that they've acquired, they will not get any better than what they've had now, right? Yes, they've had the good old days, but even the good old days for these Edomites still had some things that were lacking. They didn't have the internet, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have amazing, sports cars, the spaceships, and all these type of things. Well, now they do, and now the transgressors are come to the full, right? And this is what's happening, man. You got the World Economic Forum and these elites of the world, these kings of Edom, all coming together in Davos, Switzerland, to stand up, right? To stand up, to declare themselves the new rulers, which by the way are unelected, to run the world, right? To tackle things like war, the economy, the future of globalization, the two crises, food and energy, climate change and the environment, the role of business and entrepreneurs, right? Say goodbye to your making money on the back end, Jake. Everything's going to be recorded now on the digital system that these devils are bringing forth. And lastly, health matters, right? Health. And look who these devils have, man. Look who is in part of all these groups, man. Now that video, it showed a Judite lady, right, a so-called African lady, in her traditional native wear, right? Because they just gobble that shit up. They probably told her wear that, right? See, you got to understand that people like this woman here, and even this woman here, and that so-called black woman that they had in the video, and the Asian woman they had in the video, and all the minorities, those people are invited into the circle of Esau because they are good slaves. They are it's good optics, right, is what they refer to it. It's a good optics for the world to see that it's not just a bunch of white men who are proposing these changes, right? Well, it's very clear when you have the eyes to see that it's, even though they try to include women of different minorities, of color and whatnot, and all these different things, and even though they speak of inclusivity, it really is only for the Edomite nation, right? The good old boys club, as they would say, right? So again, all these crises, the reason why I bring all these up is because these crises, they weren't created by the climate, but they were created by the hands of Edom, right? Again, remember, when Esau brings the solution, we should ask ourselves, who brought the problem, right? In these cases, it was Esau, right? Let's say climate change, the narrative that they're pushing, let's say it was true, that it was the factories, it was the pollution. Well, who owns these factories? Who creates the gas and chemicals? It's not your everyday, Negro, Latino, Native American, or your everyday, citizen. No, it is the multinational corporations who have the billions of dollars to build these industries, to push these initiatives, to pay all that money to have things produced, which in such large bulk that it creates large amounts of pollutions that devastate our world, right? And who owns these? Who owns and chairs and leads these organizations, these multinational, big corporations? Well, none other than Esau, Edom. Okay, so the next time they say that, oh, we've caused the climate change, we've caused all these problems. No, man, these Edomites, they're the ones who caused it, man. They're the ones that own everything, right? It's like the king saying, oh, the kingdom's destroyed and it's ran to ruin. It's all of our fault. And he's pointing to all the servants and the peasants of the land. He's saying, oh, it's all of our fault that this has happened. No, it is the leadership's fault, okay? And Esau, in doing this whole World Economic Forum, coming as an angel of light, as if he's coming to save the world, right? What did the video say at the end? Let's play it real quick.
Engagement, their ingenuity, their creativity, that is what the world needs at a time like this.
Right? So you see, the world doesn't need God. The world needs the World Economic Forum, or as I showed you in that logo, it needs 666, right? It needs the beast, right? And for those who are unaware, the beast referred to in the Bible and Revelations is ultimately talking about NATO and all of its organizations, including the World Economic Forum, which is part of the whole EU NATO system. Okay, now let's read this. This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So though they try to, stage photos like this, right, where they have a bunch of minorities, women, in the photo, right, underneath their logo of the moment, right, with its catchphrase, committed to improving the state of the world, we all ultimately know who is behind this. It's Esau, right? Because you see, regardless of what minority, what disenfranchised, person or people of color that they try to, put in front of the cameras and mics, those people have controllers, and those controllers have controllers, and those controllers have controllers. And those people who do the controlling, the Bible points out that they are referred to as the kings of Edom. These are the Edomites, right? This is the true identity of these elites, these 1%ers, which have hidden themselves, right? We don't even know their true names today, right? They're not the Rothschilds, they're the people above the Rothschilds, right? These are the Rothschilds would be here. Then you got the politicians and like the monarchy, like the Queen and stuff, they would be here. And then you got the politicians, right? The Tony Blairs, the Bojos, the Trump, the Bidens. That's who these people are, man, right? And the thing is behind the Rothschilds, you have the old money, the rulerships, the kings, right? The Philip of Macedonia reincarnated, Alexander the Great, right? And these, like I said, are the elites who have their multi-billion-dollar or million-dollar, yachts and, palisades and stuff. These are the Edomites, man. And even though they're doing what they think the world wants, right? They're trying to make the whole world come together. The Lord did not want the world to come together in one, right? There's a little story in the beginning of the Bible called about the Tower of Babel, where about 200 years after the flood, right? The world had a king called Nimrod, and Nimrod had the people who had existed until this time. It was probably about 200,000 people during that time, right? It was about 13 different nations. Well, they came together and they decided to all be one people under one king, under that one language. And what did God do? God split them up, because God does not want us to come together. And why is that? Because the Lord is filtering humanity, right? And his choice, the final filtration was the children of Israel, which is why we have been commanded to be holy. And when you look into that word holy, it means separate. We are commanded to be separate from the rest of the heathen, the rest of these nations. Because why? Because they were rejected, right? And the Lord has nothing to do with them except for creating them for our will, to be used by us, and they were used in the creation of us ultimately, right? Now, again, these devils, these Edomites, they're trying to portray a one world order, right? Where everybody comes, but as this photo shows you, man, right? And like the elder brother said, man, from Texas, Yashawamba, whenever we get together, man, it is tacky, right? It won't work, right? Yeah, you'll have your exceptions to the rule, but you're always gonna, when you have events like this and groupings like this, what you're gonna end up having is a group of so-called Negroes, a group of so-called whites, a group of different minorities, right? We're all separated, man, because again, this is in the spirit of the people, because this is the way the Lord wants it to be, man. But no, Esau, going directly against what the Lord wants, is trying to bring the world into one. And why is he doing that? Right? It's not, he's not doing it for altruistic, reasons. He's not doing it because he wants everybody to love everybody and, you know, get along. No, man. He has an agenda. He has an ulterior motive. Right? This is Ecclesiastes 9 and 12. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. So are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. Esau's ulterior motive is to fulfill the prophecy written in Revelations 13 and 16, right? That tells you that that these devils, these ruling, the rulers of the world at the end times will seek to mark everybody as their own, right? To possess their soul, right? And the mark which the people shall be given is a mark of incision, right? And we all know that mark today, they're the implantable RFID chips, okay? Be it for your right hand or your forehead, right? So again, though these devils may appear and come in the spirit of light as if they were angels of salvation, beware of them, right? Because the things that have come out of Davos, they're going to start initiating them, right? We're going to start seeing a big change. And again, it may be nice at the beginning. We may see, you know, new services, things like Uber and those scooters and all this new, you know, futuristic lifestyles that we're now experiencing. It may, you know, continue to go, but there's going to eventually come a time where to participate and continue to be involved in society, you will be asked to take the mark. And that's where we're here to tell you to beware of this. Beware of these devils and do not take the mark of the beast, because it will be to your destruction. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach Dash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.